today's podcast episode of Healthy Living, Happy Midlife, we are going to dive into a topic that is not really talked about because it's really embarrassing. Gut issues, IBS, and having a poopy tummy. I'm going to share my own story of tummy troubles that I had as a child and the ways that it followed me into adulthood. We're going to unpack what the low FODMAP diet really is, why it can be life-changing for people with IBS, and how menopause can actually make stomach issues even more challenging. So if you've ever canceled plans because of your tummy, skipped meals out, or feared that something was going to happen so you didn't eat, or wondered why your gut just seems to be calling the shots, this episode is for you. So grab a cup of tea, settle in, and let's talk about reclaiming peace, joy, and confidence in your relationship with food. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me today on another episode of Healthy Living, Happy Life. It's me, Denise Stegall, the menopause mentor, and today we are talking about the very not glamorous, but very real issue of tummy troubles. Yes, tummy troubles. Now, I don't mean the occasional stomach ache after you had too much pizza, but I mean the kind of stomach issues, gut issues that really derail your plans, dictate your schedule, and sometimes even make you afraid to eat food. So this one is personal for me, and I'm going to tell you a story about, well, me. When I was a kid, little girl, I was the girl with the poopy tummy. At least that's what my mom used to call it. And that was the constant, but the occasional stomach pain and cramping that I would get kind of out of nowhere. Well, obviously at the most inopportune times. It had gotten so bad one night at a sleepover. I'll never forget this. Luckily, the sleepover was just around the corner from my house. But I was getting these pains in my stomach at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was sweating like profusely. And I ended up lying on the bathroom floor, totally in agony. And this was embarrassing. I was like 7 years old. But before anybody could notice, I actually pulled myself together, walked out the door, and walked around the corner, went home in the middle of the night. To be honest, that was the end of sleepovers for me for a very, very long time. Fast forward to college. My sister actually started to struggle with some of these tummy troubles. And the worst times were when we knew we were going to be in a car driving. And so we were driving from Long Island through the city of New York, through some bad areas on highways, where for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, if you had to go to the bathroom, you kind of had to hold it. Well, with these kind of tummy troubles, when they hit, it was really impossible to hold it. So this was really a challenge for both of us. It was embarrassing. It really caused a lot of stress. And of course, stress, as we were told, makes this even worse. Now, we never went to the doctor for this. Mom always said, oh, you just have a poopy tummy. Here, take some, Pepto-Bismol, you'll feel better. So lots of, family, friends, my sister's fencing coach, my fencing coach, basically said to us, okay, just calm down, just be calm because, you're making it worse. Well, yeah, that may have been true, but it obviously didn't solve the problem. Even as an adult, fast forward even more, granted, episodes were fewer and far between, but they were not gone. I will never forget, my husband and I almost missed a flight home from Paris because essentially I had taken up residence in the airport bathroom. Yeah, embarrassing. Let me tell you, that was a very long, uncomfortable flight. And luckily I wasn't too far from the bathroom. But again, that was embarrassing. How many times I got up back and forth to go to the bathroom. Anyway, that was very early on in my marriage and in my health journey. So flash forward again, I changed everything with my diet. I never thought I had a bad diet, but I ate a lot of things, processed foods, more often than I actually realized. So, what did I change? I went to real food, got rid of the fast food, no matter what it was, no fake foods, none of these prepared meals, nothing out of a box or a bag or a packet, anything like that. And to be honest, my gut responded pretty quickly. And in a sense, like over the course of a year or so, I feel like I cured myself, right? My gut responded in such a great way, in such a positive and happy way. Um, Funny enough, a bit of a twist. Years later, my mom started to deal with many of the same symptoms. Now, to be honest, I don't know if she was ever struggling with this when she was younger. I don't think she was. It wasn't until she was older. Um, and actually, she was probably around the age I am now. Maybe she was 50 when her stomach issues started to hit her. She went to a gastroenterologist many, many times, who actually diagnosed her with IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome. God, I even hate saying that word. IBS is so much better than the B word, right? And he gave her medication, yet the episodes didn't actually go away. Maybe they weren't as frequent, but she still has them. She still has them, better, but not completely gone. But at least she knows what it is, right? There were days, and I remember this, where she canceled plans, because she wasn't sure. Her tummy was kind of bothering her, so she didn't trust her body. I remember recently, we were going to be flying to London, and 2 days before we were going, 2 days before, she had some pizza, a lot of cheese on the pizza, hence a cheese pizza. And the next day, her stomach was bothering her. Like, she didn't leave the house most of the day because he had to keep running back and forth to the bathroom. And of course, now she's worried the following day because she's going to be getting on a plane to London. So, like, that next day, she didn't eat anything. Like, she had dry toast and, some green tea. That's it. Like, so she really still, at this stage, she's in her 80s, which makes things even more complicated. If we can nip these things in the bud when we're younger, it just makes it easier as we go, as we age, right? The interesting thing was she had been back and forth to this gastroenterologist a couple of times a year. Never once did he mention that her diet could be affecting her. The foods that she was eating could actually be affecting her. And one day, while she was watching a TV program, okay, probably Dr. Oz or whatever, there was a doctor who was promoting his book on the benefits of the FODMAP diet. Now, yes, he was there to basically to sell his book, but it was all laid out for you. It was all in his book. However, thought, including some very questionable advice. For example, the one thing that stood out was he recommended drinking Arizona green tea. That particular brand, I don't know why. Now, the regular one, it does taste good. The regular one is loaded with sugar. Sugar is definitely not something we want in our diet when it comes to drinking something. The diet drink was full of artificial sweeteners, which can stir up more tummy troubles rather than fixing it. So it didn't make any sense to me that in this book that was talking about a FODMAP diet was touting the addition of this drink that either included sugar or included artificial sweeteners. Now, I'm not exactly sure if somebody was paying him. I have no idea. But anyway, still, at this point, it did kind of give her some hope and gave her, opened her mind to maybe something was happening. Now, granted, she and I have had conversations through the years where she has said, well, Denise, you can't just stop eating things that you've been eating your whole life. Yes, you can. But you don't have to do that forever. Okay. Unless it's something you truly have an allergy to. So let's talk about what the heck is this FODMAP thing anyway, right? It's a stupid word, like FODMAP. So let me break this down a little bit. Yeah, FODMAP. That is a mouthful. But what does it stand for? Oh gosh, this is really going to be a mouthful. Fermentable, geez, oligosaccharides. Easy for me to say. Disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols. Okay. Basically, these are certain types of carbohydrates that are found in certain foods. Okay. Gosh, those are a lot of words. Maybe that's why they say it. We'll just call it FODMAP. So foods like what? Fruits like apples, pears, and watermelon. I love apples. I have 3 apple trees in my backyard. Luckily, I know that apples do not bother me. So anyway, what else? Dairy, milk, and soft cheeses. Somehow hard cheeses are different. Beans and lentils. Now, that wasn't something that we ate very much growing up anyway. Wheat, garlic, and onions. Probably had a lot of onions. The last one that we talk about is sugar alcohols that are in these sugar-free products. Now, think about so many of the sugar-free products. Chewing gum, sugar-free. The green tea that I mentioned a few minutes ago, the diet one, sugar-free sweetener. So these sugar alcohols also are a challenge for a lot of people. I find when it comes to these type of sweeteners, they literally all go to my head. They actually give me a migraine. And so I learned very early on not to have anything that has any artificial sweetener. And I can tell you when I do, because instantly there's like, ooh, I got a bit of a headache. May not turn into a migraine, but more often than not, it does. Now, here's the interesting piece. For most people, these foods, except for the sugar alcohols, are actually superfoods. They are super gut foods. Like your gut loves them, right? Apples, pears, watermelon. I mean, these are fruits that have fiber, that have all the vitamins and minerals that and antioxidants that your body needs, right? They actually feed the healthy microbes in our gut. They give us fiber, vitamins, and tons of energy. However, if you have IBS, these foods that ferment in the gut, they're pulling in water, creating gas, part of IBS, and causing all of those uncomfortable symptoms, sorry, the bloating, the pain, the diarrhea, the constipation. Yes, is really, I mean, it can go from one extreme to the other, right? The constipation to the diarrhea. It is so unpleasant. And looking at research done on FODMAP, at Johns Hopkins, they've actually shown that FODMAP diet can reduce IBS symptoms in up to 86% of people. Okay, now the point. The FODMAP is not a villain. You know, those foods are not villains, right? They're actually good for us. But with people with IBS, you have to be much more careful and you have to manage these foods in a different way. How does that work? There are 3 stages. Now, this is a I hate this word diet. The FODMAP diet is not something that you are supposed to be on for your entire life, right? It's an elimination diet that helps you to find what foods affect you more. And really, it's a diet that helps your gut to heal. So, step 1, what do we do first? The elimination of those high FODMAP foods for 2 to 6 weeks, essentially to calm your gut, because you know, the more we're eating them, like you're just aggravating it over and over and over again, especially if you don't know what's bothering you, right? And then the next thing would be to introduce them back one at a time, testing your tolerance, right? This is what we do with elimination diets. And then you can kind of create your own roadmap. I like roadmaps for some reasons, roadmaps and blueprints. And you keep what works and you moderate what doesn't, right? So I'm not saying that with FODMAP, we're not saying we got to avoid these foods forever, right? But it's learning to understand how your body responds to these foods and give it the balance that it needs, right? I mean, I'm trying to think. French onion soup would not be much without onions. You'd have soup. You'd have a piece of bread and some cheese, right? Oh, cheese, there you go. The cheese would could potentially affect you, right? So again, this is a delicious food that you may love. It's probably not something you have every day, but on the rare occasion, you want to be able to enjoy it and it not kill your stomach afterwards. Right. So this is where we have to pay attention. You know, do the onions bother you more or does the lactose, the cheese bother you more? And is it a lactose intolerance? Well, it would be a lactose intolerance, right? But again, it's not an allergy. If you're allergic to something like all of the people nowadays that are allergic to tree nuts, if you're allergic to peanuts, you stay away from them 100%, right? With an allergy or sorry, with a sensitivity, it's different. It's not going to kill you. It's probably going to upset your stomach and make you feel kind of crappy for a while, literally. Anyway, now I am the menopause mentor. Why am I talking about this? IBS and FODMAP and this, be tummy nonsense. Because in menopause, yes, in menopause, there is we can connect the dots here, right? We want to thrive in midlife. If we're already struggling with IBS, that's one thing. But what we do know in menopause, when your estrogen and your progesterone are declining, these are actually two hormones that have calming effects on your gut. So as they're going away, so does that calming effect, right? These hormones normally regulate how food moves quickly through your digestive tract. Without them, your gut's going to become more sensitive, possibly more unpredictable, right? One day you feel fine, another day, you're, bloated and, got gas pains or whatever it may be, right? So these can get worse during perimenopause and in menopause. So that being said, we need to really pay attention to what's going on in our body. And of course, I say this all the time, estrogen has over 300 tasks that it does in our body. There are estrogen receptors all throughout a woman's body, right? So as estrogen is declining, it's affecting every area of our body, right, in different ways. So this is something we really need to understand, right? Estrogen does so many different things. And yes, dropping estrogen and IBS or tummy troubles may seem like they're not connected, but there is a connection there. Now, you may not experience it at all. I'm jealous. If you do start to notice this, okay, it's time to pay attention, right? And while IBS, I mean, obviously, IBS doesn't cause menopause, but the hormones in menopause can cause symptoms or amplify symptoms of IBS or digestive issues. That doesn't need to be IBS like that serious, but definitely digestive issues, right? Especially if you've already been struggling with digestive issues. So first and foremost, awareness gives us power. If you know what is going on in your body, if you know how your body feels after, eating certain foods, then you can start to figure out, okay, and this is where I always say track everything, right? If you're going to eliminate some foods, what did you just eliminate? Right. And I'll have some information in the show notes about FODMAP and the FODMAP diet. So with the right strategies, then you can actually, one, embrace more real food. If that's been a challenge, right? If you've been eating foods that are known to irritate our stomachs, cause bloating, and are not on that FODMAP list, that could also, confuse things, right? So we need to figure out what's really happening. So identify what your FODMAP triggers are, but also figure out what other triggers you may have, right? Important to learn how to reduce your stress, because as I mentioned early on, stress can actually increase the uh, increase your symptoms, right? So when you're supporting your gut health, then you are going to reduce flare-ups, situations, symptoms, all of that. Um, Obviously, menopause is not the end of this, let's just say joy at the table, like eating, fun foods and all that. Really, it's just another invitation to listen to your body in a new way. Your body is different today than it was when you were 20 and or 30 or even 40. Right. So it's just a matter of listening to your body, understanding what it likes, what it doesn't like, and how we can work with your system to alleviate symptoms and get you on a good track, right? For me, real food and lifestyle changes were enough to basically heal me. I haven't had an episode like that in many, many years. So I'm pretty excited about that. And even through menopause, right? I've been dealing with menopausal symptoms since I was 37, 38 years old, right? It's been a long time. But I have not had any of these symptoms since I changed my diet and my lifestyle. Right. So with my mom, like FODMAP helped give her a little bit of clarity. Now I can't say that she followed the step-by-step uh, ways to do FODMAP. I know she wasn't working with her doctor. I think it was just something she was trying on her own. And I don't live where she is, so it was really hard to kind of do over the phone, right? Most of the time, she knows foods that bother her. Doesn't mean that she doesn't, doesn't mean that she always says no to them. And some days she's fine, and other days, she kind of says, "Why did I do that?" Right? We've all been there. So I think that's really important. Like there's never 100% with everything, right? So food should be joyous. We should enjoy our food, right? It's not supposed to be a source of fear and stress and frustration. Stress is just going to make it worse anyway. So if you're listening and going, yep, that's me, Denise. Here's what I want you to remember. A couple things. Low FODMAP diet is not for everyone, right? But it can be a game changer if you have IBS. And that is something that your doctor needs to diagnose. You can't just say, okay, we have some tummy troubles. I must have IBS. You want to make sure that you're working with a doctor because sometimes symptoms can get masked as something else, right? So you definitely want to make sure that you have a doctor on your team, right? You want to do the elimination with guidance from either, probably won't be your doctor because they don't do this kind of stuff, dietitian, nutritional coach, somebody just like me who knows how to help you through this, understands what each step is, how to go through each step and how to help you manage them, right? And the other piece, this is really, really important. Your gut is adaptable, okay? Over time, it can actually learn to tolerate more of these FODMAP foods. So remember, we take them out, we give it 2 to 6 weeks, we introduce one at a time, and you'll find out, ooh, this one doesn't bother me so much anymore. Ooh, this one, yeah, this one still kind of bothers me, right? And we make sure that that's in a plan for you, right? It's that roadmap. Then maybe, just maybe, you'll find yourself enjoying the apple or the onion or the piece of soft cheese again down the road. So again, this isn't something that you're supposed to be on forever. It is a tool. I think tools are essential for those of us in midlife, right? We need to know, we need to have a roadmap and we need to have tools in order to get us from one part of the map to the next, or the blueprint, let's say. So if you are struggling with any of these tummy troubles, I'd love to hear your story. If you know someone who has been struggling with this, has IBS or any kind of gut issue, please reach out, share this with them. Would love to connect with you, would love to connect with them. Remember, you don't have to figure this out alone. There's so many things that are going on in life, especially in midlife with menopause, reach out, talk to someone. I'm here for you, for your support. I'm here for your support system. I'm Denise Stegall. Till next time, living health. Ooh, I just said that wrong. Till next time, healthy living, happy midlife. I will see you next week. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Healthy Living, Happy Midlife. My hope is that today's conversation left you inspired, encouraged, and ready to take the next step toward creating a vibrant, fulfilling life that you deserve. Remember, you don't have to settle for fatigue, brain fog, or frustration. Midlife is not the end of your story. It's the doorway to your next best chapter. And I'm here to help you walk through it with energy, with confidence, and with joy. So if you're ready to take this journey further, I invite you to schedule a free strategy call with me. The link is in the show notes. And together we'll design a plan that works for you at this time in your life, for your body. So be sure to subscribe, rate, and review your show, the show on your favorite podcast platform. Catch the video version on YouTube so you never miss another episode. Share it with a friend who needs to hear that midlife can truly be the most powerful season of her life. Until next time, I'm Denise Stegall, reminding you that healthy living, happy midlife is not just possible, it's yours for the